Welcome everybody to yet another technology and consumer electronics video. My name is Michael Benarski, and today let's take a look at the Pebble Smartwatch. The Pebble Smartwatch is a smartwatch that connects to your cell phone, either an Android phone or iPhone, through a Bluetooth connection. It is available in two different models. There is the newer Pebble Steel, which is a slightly higher end model. It comes with instead of this rubber that you see here for the band, it comes with actually a stainless steel, a very nice looking band. And then it has a little bit of increased storage space on the inside, and it will cost you about an extra $100. It retails for $249. But what I have here in my hand today is not the Pebble Steel. This is actually the original Pebble. It is $100 less at $150. It's available in a few different colors. You have your choice between jet black, gray, Arctic white, orange, and cherry red. And so before I dive into everything that this watch actually does, I want to go over a few tech specs with you. So it's about the normal watch size. It's nothing really large, nothing really small. It's actually a 1.26 inch display. This is an e-ink display, e-paper display. So it doesn't really use a lot of battery power. It really only uses the battery power to refresh the display. So that way your display can stay on all the time. It'll constantly be telling you the time without you having to press a button, just like a normal watch. So it doesn't really change your use because the screen is always on. The screen is also LED backlit, so if I press a button or if a notification comes up, the backlight will activate. And then the screen also has a hard coating to make it more scratch resistant. This guy is equipped with Bluetooth 4.0, a 3D accelerometer, an e-compass, ambient light sensor, and a lithium-ion polymer battery that lasts 5 to 7 days, which is very impressive. And it really does. The website says that it lasts 5 to 7 days, and it really does last for the full 5 to 7 days. Sometimes I can even get it to last longer. And it does get charged through a magnetic charger. As you can see, it's not a port or anything that you plug the charger into. This is actually a magnetic charging mechanism. So there are magnets that then connect the capacitors that carry the charge through. So this is the charger that is provided in the box. It is only a USB charger. It does not plug into the wall, and they do not include a wall adapter, but they do note that you can charge it, obviously, by plugging the USB end into your computer, but you could also use any USB to wall adapter, much like the one you would use to charge your iPhone and usually your Android phone also. So you can use those chargers to plug this into the wall and therefore plug your watch in. This is actually a really neat mechanism. This allows the watch to be more waterproof because there are no ports that the water will be going into. So basically, the charger just snaps right on like that, and it starts charging. It's very simple to do. You can charge the watch whether the watch is on or off, and I found that it usually only takes about 1 to 2 hours to fully charge, and then of course after that it lasts for about 5 to 7 days. Now this watch is water resistant up to 5 atmospheres, and I can again vouch that it really is water resistant. I actually went for a swim with it one day, and it still works. It lives to tell the story. So it really is water resistant. I haven't tested the full 5 atmospheres, but that's pretty deep in water to get down to 5 atmospheres. So it's pretty durable, pretty water resistant. I have not seen any physical damage to it through my regular use. So no scratches, so that scratch coating must work. And again, the water resistance, it has been exposed to water and it works perfectly fine. So let's get into what this watch does. Like I said, it is equipped with Bluetooth 4.0, and it uses that to be able to connect to your smartphone. Like I said before, it will work on either Android or iOS, your iPhone. So you pair it with your smartphone, and once it's paired, it prompts you to download an application, or you could go to the App Store and search for the application. And that application is called Pebble, the name of the watch. So I'll load it up here on my phone. This is what the app looks like. And it basically lets you control some of the apps that are installed on your Pebble. So here's a list of apps that I have, and then there's also a little store, kind of like the iOS App Store or the Android App Store, a little store where you can search for apps to install on your Pebble. So I'm going to go more in depth into apps later, but also connecting it to your phone allows it to get the time, and it allows it to get your phone's notifications. So when you get a notification on your phone, that notification then shows up on your Pebble, which is one of the handiest features I've found. It's one of the features that I really like about my Pebble. So while we're on the topic of notifications, I do want to showcase that feature right now because it is one of my favorite features about the Pebble, how it's able to get all of your phone's notifications and automatically direct them over to your Pebble so you can view them right on your wrist. So I'm about to call myself on my cell phone. So my iPhone will ring soon and my Pebble will also ring. As you'll soon see, here we are. So on the screen, it shows up that I have an incoming call from home, and I have the option to accept or decline from my watch. So if I'm not interested in calling this person, I can decline. You can't feel this, but I can feel it. The watch is actually vibrating too. It vibrates on a pulse so that you can feel on your wrist as well that you have an incoming call. So that was actually one of the deciding factors for me in getting a Pebble, was because I've been missing a lot of calls on my iPhone because I can't feel it vibrate in my pocket, and when I'm out in public, I don't like to have the sound on. So I really like the Pebble because I really haven't been missing any calls because it's very hard to miss them when your wrist is vibrating. So it's really nice to be able to see when phone calls are coming in and to be able to accept or decline them right from your wrist without having to take out your phone. Now, this isn't like certain apps on your iPhone have to allow their notifications to be sent to Pebble. There's nothing like that. All of the notifications that you will get on your iPhone will go to your Pebble. There's no special setup that the app developers have to do. It just automatically goes to your Pebble. You will get all of your notifications. You will get your emails. You will get your text messages. You will get your calendar alerts. You will get your Snapchats. You will get your ESPN sports alerts. You will get everything. Everything is sent to the Pebble. And it vibrates once when you get a notification, and it shows up on the screen and it stays there for a few minutes, and then after a few minutes of inactivity it goes back to the default time screen, or you can manually close the notification when it pops up. Other than that, there's no way you can reply to the notifications yet. If you get a text message notification on your watch, you can't reply to it or anything from your watch. You can just view it, and then if you want to reply, then you have to pull out your phone. Now, the watch will show a preview of your emails and your text messages. So even if you have on your phone that preview turned off, because there is a way on your iPhone to turn off the preview on your lock screen. They call it the lock screen preview, where it'll just say that you have, for example, a text message, but it won't actually show the content on your lock screen until you unlock your phone. Regardless of that setting, the Pebble will always display a preview of your emails or your text messages. And so that may be a good thing or that may be a bad thing. The good thing is that you're able to actually read your email, well, part of your email, the first few sentences or so, and you're also able to read your text messages from your watch without having to take out your phone. That may be a bad thing, though, if you don't want things like that to automatically show up on your wrist, especially if you were to maybe have some sensitive material pop up on your wrist around other people. So that's something that, unfortunately, you cannot adjust in the settings. There's no way to turn off the preview on the Pebble screen. So what you can do, though, is you can set it to Do Not Disturb, or you can turn off the notifications for everything, but there's no way to just turn off the preview. Now, there is a nice little notifications tray, kind of like on the iPhone where you have the notifications center. So if we go down here, notifications, and as you see, this is not touchscreen or anything. There are 3 hard buttons on the side. There's an up button, a select button, and a down button. And so that's how I'm navigating around here. And on this side is just the back button. So I can browse around. These are all the notifications that I've received. So there's an example of a text message that I received, and then some other notifications that I received from when I was making those test phone calls. And so this is how the notifications will show up on the device when you get them on your phone. They just show up like this, and you get a little vibrate, and you can scroll through them and read the notification. And then this is an example of how it gives you a preview of a text message. And again, there's no way to turn that off, unfortunately. So now probably the second most useful thing about the Pebble is probably what watches are known for, and that's for telling time. So of course the Pebble as a watch does tell time, and it does so in some pretty awesome ways because it is a smartwatch, so it's able to do some different things. So what I have up here right now, this is actually something that Pebble, I guess, is very fond of. This is one of the default watch faces, as Pebble calls it. There's various watch faces that you can select, and this is one of the default ones that comes preloaded onto the watch. So this is just one where obviously, as you can see, it spells out the time. So right now it's 9:10. It's actually PM. It doesn't specify whether it's AM or PM. I guess it just assumes you know. So you can scroll through your watch faces by pressing either the up or down arrows, or if you go to the main menu by hitting the select button, this is your main menu. There's also a watch face selection where you can scroll through all of the watch faces that you have installed. You can install additional watch faces through the Pebble app on your phone, which I will go over in a second, but I just want to show you some of these watch faces. So like I said, this is the text one. Here's an analog one, so it's like a digital analog. It's kind of cool. And you may notice that the screen has been getting darker after I press a button. What happens is, as I said in the tech specs, there is a backlight on this. If I press a button, the backlight lights up, and it's a little easier to see the screen on camera. And then after a few seconds, the backlight turns off. The screen is still on, like right now. The screen is on, but the backlight is off. So it's a little harder to see, especially on camera. In person, it's actually not hard at all to read the screen. I have not had any problem reading the screen except for in dark areas, of course. When you're in a dark area, then you're going to have to press a button in order to activate the backlight in order to read the screen. But the screen is very readable in normal light situations, I would say, and even in very bright light and in direct sunlight, the screen is very easy to read. So just wanted to put that out there. I know it's a little harder to see on camera. So again, this is the digital analog. If we scroll down again, this is another default one where we have the date and then digital time. And then this is one that I actually installed through the Pebble app. There's a lot of information on this screen, and the text is a little small, but I think it's a great watch screen. It tells you a lot of information all in one place. This is called Fair Weather. So at the top, it shows me my sunrise and sunset times. And then it shows me the phase of the moon, the pressure, humidity, cloud cover, wind speed, and temperature. Catch just means that it hasn't updated recently, and I can change that in the settings, or I can refresh it on my phone through the app. It's getting all of this information through the app on my phone, the Pebble app on my phone. So it's just connecting to that Pebble app and using that to then connect to the internet and download this information. There's also a little icon, a visual representation of what's going on outside. So it's showing me that it's partly cloudy and raining. It also tells me the date, the time, the seconds, and the battery on my Pebble. So as we said before, the battery in here lasts 5 to 7 days. And so this watch face in particular shows me how much battery I have left. The other watch faces, if you notice, don't have that. And that's all the watch faces that I have on my Pebble at the moment. As I said, you can get more, and we'll take a look at the Pebble store to see what you can get on your device. Now, as I showed a little bit earlier, there is a main menu, so let's take a look at that main menu. So we already looked at the notifications. Above that is a music selection. So on my watch now, it now recognizes that it's playing something, and there are music controls on here. The center button is a play pause. So as you can hear, it's playing and pausing, and then there's a back button where it'll go back, and there was nothing playing before, so it just defaulted back to the no music. And then there's a forward button where it'll skip to the next thing. And then I'll pause it. So this is a really cool way to control your playlist. If you're listening to music on your phone and your phone is in your pocket, you can really easily control your music from your watch. Hit the back button to go back to the main menu. We already looked at notifications. Alarms. This watch does have alarms. So you can set alarms on here that will vibrate to tell you when your set time is up. There are also additional third-party apps that you can download that may have some more advanced features, and we'll look at that in a second. Watch faces, we already kind of looked at this. This just gives you a list of the watch faces that you have installed. Settings, of course, this just has settings. So you have some Bluetooth settings, allowing you to toggle the Bluetooth, radio, notification settings, enabling or disabling notifications, a do not disturb mode, vibration, you can enable or disable vibration, change the size of the font, and clear your history. Some date and time settings. Whoops, wrong button. Display settings that allow you to adjust backlight settings. So with the backlight, you can always have it, right now it's set to on, which means that it will always turn on whenever I press a button. The other options are off, which is where the backlight will never turn on. And then the other option is auto, which is where the backlight will use the ambient sensor to sense when you're in a darker situation. So then when you press a button or get a notification, it'll use its own judgment to determine if you need the backlight or not. So I usually just set it to auto, but for the video purposes, I'll set it to on. There's also a shake to light. So if I turn that on, wait a few seconds for the backlight to turn off, and I can just shake the watch and the backlight turns back on. So that would be if it's on your wrist, you could just do a quick shake of the wrist to look up your watch. If you're in a dark situation, just do a quick flip and then look at your wrist in order to see the time. I don't particularly like it because I've noticed that it does turn on the backlight at times that I do not need to see the watch. At times that I don't mean to turn it on. For example, if I'm running up a flight of stairs, I'll be moving my arms, so the backlight will be turning on, and such actions with my arms will turn the backlight on and subsequently drain my battery faster. So I keep the shake to backlight or shake to light, I keep that off. And then about just gives you some settings about your device, like a serial number and Bluetooth numbers and stuff like that. Shut down just obviously shuts down the watch so that it's not using any power, so I shut it down every night. And then there's a factory reset to go back to all your default settings. Now after this, we get into the apps that I actually installed on my device. So none of these were here when it shipped. I installed these using the Pebble app on my phone. So just a few of, this is the stuff that I keep on my watch at all times. These are the apps that I like the most. First of all is a battery lifetime, which gives me actually a percentage of battery I have left. If you notice, the only other way I could see my battery life was on that one watch face that I had, but it only gave me a visual of the battery, like this big thing, but it didn't actually give me a percentage. So I liked having the percentage on here so I could see I have exactly 90% battery left. Now these little dots up here are estimations. Each dot represents one day. So when the dot is filled in, that's another day that it expects my battery to be running. So it expects right now that my battery will last 6 days with the 90% left. My next app is Timer. So this I just set a time, obviously, and then it'll count down and then vibrate once the time has elapsed. Next one is called RUD. I use this to kind of keep me productive and knowing of how much time I'm using in a day. This just vibrates in a set interval. So right now it's set to 5 minutes. You can set it to whatever interval you want. So when I set it, right now it's set for 2 minutes, so it'll vibrate every 2 minutes. And I usually just use that to keep me on task if I'm trying to use my time effectively. It's a good reminder of, hey, 2 minutes passed by. What did you do in the last 2 minutes? The next app I have is a metronome. So I am into music, so this metronome app is very nice. The screen flashes to the beat that you choose, and then if you hit the center button, the watch will actually vibrate to that beat, so you can feel the beat on your wrist, which is very cool. The next app I have is Stopwatch. So obviously nothing fancy here. It's just a standard stopwatch. And then weather. So this also connects to the Pebble app. And while my fair weather app or watch face showed me some weather information on my watch face, this goes into a more detailed forecast. So I can see today's weather, a 5-day forecast, the forecast of another city, and then some settings. So those are some of the apps that I downloaded through the Pebble app. So now let's take a look at that Pebble app, see what's going on in there. Okay, so we're going to start out with the My Pebble option. So this shows everything that is on my Pebble. This is separated into two areas. The top area are apps that are currently on my Pebble. The bottom area are apps that are on my phone. The data and the code for those apps is on the phone, but they're not actually on my Pebble. But I can easily transfer them to my Pebble if I wanted to. The reason you would want to do that is because there are a limited number of spaces to store things. On this particular Pebble, there are 8 slots that you have to store watch faces and apps. So you only have 8 slots to use, and so that's why they separate this. So on the top are my 8 slots. I'm actually only using 7 of them right now. And then on the bottom are things that are on my phone and that I can easily move onto my Pebble if I want, in lieu of moving something up here off of my Pebble and back onto my phone. So obviously you can't run these apps on your phone. They can only run on your Pebble. So you have to just kind of choose which apps you want to move onto your Pebble. So it's really easy, though, to move apps on your Pebble. So, for example, if I there's an Evernote app, which actually displays your Evernotes and the text within them onto your Pebble, which is actually really cool. So I have that on my phone, but I don't have it on my Pebble. As you saw earlier when we were going through the list on my Pebble, it wasn't in that list. But it is on my phone. On here, they call it the locker. So if I tap on it, I can hit this load button here. And this is a little progress bar shooting up here. And it's currently loading onto my Pebble. And once it loads, it automatically opens up on my watch. But just to show you, I'm going to go back to the main menu. And this is my app list. And as you see down here, there is Evernote now. So this is the Evernote app. And I can browse through the notes that I have. So this is actually a really cool app. But that's how easy it is to get apps onto your Pebble. And then on your phone, it also gives you some more settings to go through. So right now it wants me to sign back into Evernote. I'm just going to cancel out of that right now. Just as it's easy to put apps on, it's easy to take them off. Right now I'm using all 8 of my slots, so if I wanted to install something else onto my Pebble, I would have to unload something. All I have to do is tap it and hit unload, and it real quickly comes off of my Pebble, and now I have space to put on another app. So now to browse apps that you may want to put onto your Pebble, you can go over to the Get Apps section, and it looks very much like the App Store. You have a little slideshow of apps over here. Right now they're showcasing Pandora, and then you can view all the apps or the most loved apps or the Pebble Essentials. So this is just basically like one big app store. Unfortunately, the apps aren't super advanced. Basically, the apps that I showed you that I have on here are the apps that I really like the most. All the other apps that are out here, it doesn't seem like I would personally get much use out of them. Some of them are kind of cool. For example, as you see, you may notice this Peb GPS. This actually shows, it uses your phone's GPS to figure out where you are, and then it displays an e-ink version of a map on your Pebble, so you could see a map of where you are and use that to kind of roam around and figure out where you are. Well, honestly, with Google Maps on my iPhone, I really cannot imagine. It's really a downgrade, I think, to look at a little black and white map on a 1.2 inch screen. So I don't have that. Some of these apps, not all of them are free. Some of them are paid, and some of them require companion apps from the App Store in order to work. For example, this Runkeeper app, which was, where did that go? Somewhere around here. There it is, Runkeeper. This is actually a really cool app. I use it I actually use Runtastic, but it's almost the same thing. It requires a companion app, and when you get the companion app, it automatically loads up onto your Pebble when you run the companion app. The companion app is basically just the Runkeeper app in the App Store, and then when you run that app onto your phone, it automatically loads up the software onto your Pebble. Companion apps actually don't use slots on your Pebble, which is actually really nice. So Runkeeper, for example, does not use a slot on my Pebble, but I can still use it on my Pebble. It just automatically pops up when I run the Runkeeper app on my iPhone. And it, like I said, it doesn't use a slot. So companion apps are kind of nice in that regard. And the Runkeeper app is really cool. Like I said, I use Runtastic, which is also out here. Runtastic and Runkeeper both work very nicely on the Pebble. It shows you some screenshots of how it works on here. It shows you your time, your distance, and your pace. So you could also browse for some watch faces, which are also considered apps kind of sometimes. They do take up the same number of slots collectively with the apps. So again, same setup as before, but this time it's just a bunch of watch faces that tell you what time it is. Basically just a bunch of fancy ways of telling the time. There's just one other thing I have to show you. This is just so cool. But if you're up for a challenge, you can play Tiny Bird on your Pebble smartwatch. So here it is, and you just press the buttons to make him jump up and down, and just like I already died. Just like the iOS version, you got to jump through those hoops without touching them, and I already died again. It's really hard on the Pebble. I think it's a lot harder on here than it is on the iPhone. I got one, and I died. Okay, so there's Tiny Bird for Pebble, so if that interests you, I think that's really cool, though, and it shows that some of the potential. There's not a lot of games out there for the Pebble, except this one. So that kind of shows the potential. I think it would be really cool to see more games come up on the Pebble. So all in all, wrapping up, I highly recommend the Pebble to anyone who owns a smartphone and is looking for a new watch. It's very reasonable in price, $150. That's about what you're going to pay for a decent-looking watch in a retail store or online, for that matter. So it's a very reasonable price for what it accomplishes. As you can see, it's not as stylish as an $150 watch that is not a smartwatch. However, I think it does get made up for with the fact that it can accomplish so much, and that when people see the screen and that you have like some weird stuff on your watch's screen, and why does your watch have an electronic screen and what the heck is that? I think that makes up for and then some the lack of like a stainless steel band. However, if a stainless steel band is a must-have, of course you can get the Pebble Steel for an extra $100. But for me and my purposes, I really do not mind the rubber. I don't think it looks tacky at all. It's actually it's pretty comfortable on your wrist. You don't really notice that it's there. It's not uncomfortable. So I think the original Pebble is a great investment. Personally, the extra $100 for the Pebble Steel was not worth it for me for what I was getting extra with the Pebble Steel. So I would highly recommend the original Pebble for anyone looking for a new watch. It's a very handy device for getting your notifications on your wrist and for being able to load up some pretty cool apps that show you some basic information on your wrist, allowing you to see that information without having to pull out your phone every time you want to, for example, check the weather. So that, my friends, is the Pebble. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and if you got anything out of it. If you have any questions for this or about this for me, just leave a comment below and I will try to get back to you. And if you have any of your experiences to share, if you are a Pebble owner, if you have some experiences to share, be sure to drop a line below also and leave a comment with your experiences. I myself, and I'm sure other people watching this video, will be very interested to see your opinion. Again, thanks for watching. Remember to share and give a thumbs up. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Be sure to check out some of the other technology videos out on my channel.